I'm Lifey. I haven't done something like this in a very long time. And I'm gonna probably show you the real side to this video. Depending on how emotional I get talking about my experience being alone and having no friends. But yeah. I'm not gonna make any real cuts in this video, mainly because I don't have the time for that. Nobody got time for that, and I want to give you the raw side of me, and not just the, oh, this is what I'm gonna do this time, and then you're gonna see a transition and all this stuff. I'm not giving you the in-between. And I feel like when you talk about this kind of stuff, you really just have to be vulnerable and raw, because people need that, and we don't have enough of that these days. So yeah, but I will probably pause in between just so I can get my thinking going. So you popped on, you saw my video, you're probably like, oh, she's a lonely bitch, like she don't got anyone because she's stupid, because she has high expectations, because this and that. I really don't. I feel like that's a big misconception of me, and I really wish it would stop, but at the end of the day, I can't really control how you feel. And how I'm perceived by other people does not really matter to me unless we're close. And that has been an experience, losing a lot of people in my life this year, because I thought we were close. I desired a stable friendship. I desired all these things that make a stable friendship amazing, and they did not see me that way. And when I opened up about everything and I wanted clarification or I wanted reassurance, as I would gladly give it to them if they asked, they ended up telling me that I was nothing, and that I'm controlling, and it really just made me realize, after many, many attempts this year to patch things up, I was the only one trying. And when I decided, you know what, this is not worth it, I stepped back and I was like, damn, they were kind of bitches. Like, they did not deserve me. My whole life, I've had a really hard time making friends. I remember being in class, just sitting there drawing, doodling my peace signs with fucking wings on them, and just having a grand old time drawing, and people looking over and telling me I'm stupid and I'm depressed and alone and stuff. Bullying me because, I mean, it was kind of valid. I thought I was a furry. Very glad I got bullied for that, because imagine what I would be like now. But like, I was always pushed to the side. In middle school is a little bit different. Sorry, this is really hard for me to talk about. I feel like trauma, childhood trauma, not considering the fact of friends and all that, not making friends or being bullied at home, and constantly having to adapt to new environments because both of my parents were divorced since I was 2. So I would go back and forth, and they have totally different values, totally different socializing skills and like skills, I don't know, issues. And being so far apart from my family emotionally plays a big factor. And when you don't have that companionship at home, you don't know how to build it anywhere else in your life. So having friends for me, where you create a family, means a lot to me. And the fact that I lost that all this year has been really hard. I feel like I lost my life. I feel like I'm at the brink of 9 lives. I only have 1 more life left, and that sounds so depressing. And I don't know how else to say it. So I know family is gonna see this, and that's okay. They can come to me and say, how dare you say something like that? But this is coming from me and my perspective. I'm not gonna go too into detail because I don't think it means anything except the context of why I feel like this. Okay, so this is not planned, by the way, I'm just talking. I switch back and forth from basically once a month to my dad's and then my mom's. I wasn't going to my dad's very much before, and I lived in an RV with them. Sometimes we lived in hotels, and that was a very interesting experience. He had a lot of issues with his back, and I was always crying, thinking everything I did was my fault, and he constantly was trying to reassure me, and I was just a really, really emotional kid. Everything affected me, and it still does, but it's less, like, the more times now I just suppress it. And then I went to my mom's house, and totally different environment. I have 2 older brothers, and I love them, but I don't see them enough. And I wasn't that close to my oldest brother because I actually barely know him, which is weird. And then my middle brother, he was the one I was closest to because he still lived in my mom's house when I was little. But then sometimes when both my parents couldn't take care of me, I was babysat by this family in the middle of nowhere in the location that I was living in. This is where everything started for me. This is where the trauma started. I'm not going to detail. No, I shouldn't. But basically, really bad things happened. And it constantly did. I was there every day. They would pick me up, or sometimes I'd spend nights there. Sometimes they'd drive me all the way to somewhere else so that they could pick me up from the train and bring me back to school, and then, all that stuff. And I mean, my babysitter was pretty cool. Both of my babysitters were. But the family involved was not good at all. and that made it really hard for me at such a young age with naivety, just being confused about what love was. And I don't really know why I'm talking about this. I just know there's some contextual stuff that I need to get out of the way before I start talking about the other stuff. But anyways, that happened. I think I got out of the house, the babysitter's house, at like around 10 years old, because my dad and I moved to an apartment finally for middle school. That was a weird experience too. I finally was kind of getting into this group that I made, and I was so proud I made, until this bitch came in and she was like, I'm gonna run this fucking group now and you're not gonna be in it. So that made me feel like crap, because basically they all went against me, and that was interesting. So it really was only good for like 1 year. And I was bullied a lot. I mean, all the fucking years I was in school I was bullied. This is why I paint. But yeah. Then high school, I lost it. I had some peers in my classes, and whoever's watching this, you probably know me. I'm sorry that you had to see me like this. I hope maybe you've seen my other videos where I'm not being so vulnerable and talking about my life like anyone gives a fuck. But, I mean, you're here now, so whatever. Around this time, I had an online relationship. It was really toxic. And toxic meaning actually toxic, not the ones that women misnomer because they don't like that person. No, I didn't realize it was toxic till I got out of it. It was 7 years long, okay? I thought he was my best friend. Obviously he was not. Yes, we were the same age. Don't worry, he wasn't a predator or anything. Just the wrong decision that went too long, you know? And he was really the only person I could rely on, even though he constantly degraded me, constantly made me feel stuck. I've had a lot of instances with him too, of being an online gamer all the time. I would go on Minecraft and have these friends, and then we would go into Skype and we would call, you know, when my parents weren't looking or whatever. And then Discord happened. I would go on there and I had to save a lot of people's fucking lives. And it just, I felt like I had to. I never really felt like I wanted a relationship. I just felt like I was always put in this situation where I had to. It was an obligation. And I know that sounds so bad, but it's true. And I felt like that was my only worth to people, as I had to be a certain way in order to get love. And in the end, I did not even get that. So there's always been this pit in my stomach ever since I was little, that I wasn't enough, and I'm not enough. And although I'm almost 23 now, I don't really feel like I've lived a good life. Then college. College is an interesting experience. This is where I started to gain friends, and good friends. And friendships I don't regret, even if they ended very bad. Although I do regret being so naive about it because of my lack of experience having stable friendships and stuff like that. Ever since I was a little kid, I had art to help me cope with life. So, being an art major, you know, all these other artists having the same kind of endeavor, it's easier to make friends when you're in a class full of people that, you know, dedicate their life to making stuff that makes them feel things and makes them open up to people. And I feel like, you know, artists, out of everything, they need community. And I really strive for that anyways. Like, I wanted friends, you know, and so I had really good friends until this year, and I'm about to graduate this December. So that's interesting. I wish I could know if it really is a me problem. And if I have some kind of disorder, you know. I mean, I probably do because of all the things I went through as a kid and how it's affected my emotional state and the things I did to cope with it. And the amount of times I got bullied and all this other stuff that shouldn't have happened at such a young age, I feel like. And then not having that, like, somebody to lean on, just always getting pushed away, and you have to be the person to be your own best friend, and it's been hard. But I do commend myself for sticking it through. And, I never want people to feel out of place with me. The times I would go to parties, it was just, I hate parties. Especially if they involve substances. And that's the friend group I had to get out of recently. Although these people strived for living in the moment, they did practically the opposite. And when I told them about it, because they complained to me before that they would never do that and ended up doing it, I told them in a letter, and they said I was being controlling. And I find it really ironic. This generation is something, man. It's so much different than my parents, because my parents are like 70 and up, or 70 and down, because difference between my mom and my dad. And that already is really hard to connect to a parent that has such a totally different view of life and friendships and romantic relationships and, you know, work and all this stuff and just how society is run in general. It's a lot harder for you to get along with these people that are your parents. And although I love my parents to death and I would not wish any kind of ill on them, it has made me so much more depressed that I cannot talk to them about anything, because they have this view that my life is perfect and that I'm just seeing it wrong. And it's just not the case. And I wish that they could just go into my shoes and understand why the fuck I'm like this. because it's not easy. And I know that most of the shit that I've gone through with my friends is not my fault because I am loyal. I will bluntly tell you how that made me feel. I will communicate to you. As long as you comprehend it, we're good. I'm vulnerable. I will be there for you. You know, I'm not gonna judge you. But if something throws me off, like I said, I will tell you about it. And I don't know if it's just because of my ADHD or it's because I have this other disorder I'm not familiar with or diagnosed with yet. But it's just always been so hard to keep friendships if I have a good one. Like a friendship. And what really took me off recently is my ex's opinion that, you know, well, obviously I'm just too emotional. I rely on people too much. And I ponder why he has said that. Because he's the one that told me he was jealous of how I interact with people. And how much I just want to nurture others. You know, my last friendship that ended a couple months ago, it had been rocky for quite a while. I don't feel like I'm controlling. I told him bluntly, like, you lied to my face. You made me feel like crap. You know, you're with these people that treat you like crap, but you're still with them. You told me you would change. You know, all these things. And what's just worse about it is graduating alone. And yes, I've accomplished all these things, but I don't feel like it's worth it without having anyone beside me congratulating myself, being there for me. And I have my online best friend. We've been friends for 5 years. I've never met her in person. That's because of financiality issues, and we were still getting to know each other. I feel like we got a lot closer this year because we both had people that did us wrong, and we just connected more, you know? And now it's just getting close to this time where I know I have people that love me. I know that. But I don't feel it. And I haven't for a very long time. And I cannot distinguish if it's just me or if it's that the society that Generation Z is going to live in and has been is just fucking shit. I don't know, because I think that doesn't really make sense because every generation has had their issues and probably worse than we have in a sense. But I do really feel like social media and propaganda and this isolation has been have been huge major factors to the why, you know, 85% of 16 to 25-year-olds feel so fucking lonely. And I am one of them. Woohoo! But I will say, I'm glad I stuck it through since January of this year. It's funny because I kind of went back to my sophomore year self, where I also didn't have any friends around that time, and I was just being myself. You know, politics would come out on people's social media that I would follow, and ended up not being friends with them because of one stupid fucking thing. And that's also another issue in this generation. Seems like research is not their forte, and you know, that's okay. But when you base your whole life on politics, it's embarrassing, and that's also another thing as to why I'm not political. I think there's more to life than that. I think there's more to life than substance use. I think being in the moment with someone, you've waited so long to see them, I think that fucking matters. I think communication matters. I think just giving a fuck matters. Being intentional with every decision you make. Listening. And understanding that there's more to life than just you. And those are all qualities that I strive for, because that's who I am. And I've always been. And I really want to let you know, if you feel like those stick with you, you're striving. Because not a lot of people have those qualities. In fact, they lack it, so they like it. But most of the time, when they lack that themselves, they take and take and take and take from other people, and they just will never have that because they can't sit with themselves. So they jump from person to person like crazy, and they never actually just sit down with themselves and be like, why am I like this? You know, it just, this constant like being alone has just taught me that like I know myself more than any other fucking bitch. I'm okay with myself. I love doing art with myself. I like researching things that I just don't know about and I want to know more about, you know. I love learning about people, why they act the way they do, why they say the things that they say. I like to know everybody's backgrounds, and I don't know, man, I don't know what this strive for partying is and fitting in. I just need to do what I need to do to get myself through this day. You know, that's how it's been. And if you feel the same, let's go. Yeah, I've been wanting to post more content like this so that you guys can see that I'm an artist. I do art. But at the same time, I'm also a person, and I feel things. I probably feel the same kind of things that you do. Not the same scenarios, obviously. But, like, you can still talk to me. Let's not keep it parasocial. You don't need that. And I don't think I'll ever get to that point, but it is really awesome to connect with you guys. And, just talk to people that have hearts and heads, you know, and souls. Just please don't give up on me. There are really good moments in the bad. You just gotta get yourself out of that. You gotta choose to. And start loving yourself. And you don't have to do that alone, obviously. You know, your peers and your friends and your buddies are all different terms and should be that way. You don't have to have everyone be your friend. And that's the propaganda that we have been implemented into, but that's not how life goes, and it never will. That just means that you're loyal to all, loyal to none, and most importantly, you don't know who you are. So having your pack, even if it's one person, is just gonna make your life so much better. You don't need all these friends, because trust me, they don't know you. At the end of the day, if you have no one, please have yourself. For me. And I completely understand. I just know you're the better person for not keeping yourself in an environment that numbs you, that doesn't make you feel valid for feeling this way, that they made you feel this way. You know, it's saddening when you have people around you that don't fucking love life and are poisoning themselves and just not giving a fuck about anything. So, take care of yourself. I'll probably be live if this video goes up the same time I'm doing this on the other painting I'm starting. Last one before I graduate. Go have fun. Eat well. Drink water. Tell your parents I love you. Take care of yourself.